From Koreatown, Los Angeles, thank you for tuning in to Ktown Social Club. This is where Koreans get together to talk about the issues you really care about. It's a different kind of a talk program. We're the only show that has perspectives from the far left to the far right, all across the political spectrum. Write down a comment, like this video, subscribe to our channel, and smash the notification bell. I'm Michael Kim, and with me is Michael Wan, Ed Choi, and Douglas Kim.
Edward.
Yeah.
Thank you for tuning in. Thanks for being part of our program. Here we are together again on Ktown Social Club. And today we have an Alison Chao update, who was the missing girl from Monterey Park. And then later Michael's going to talk about Kamala Harris and her Asian identity. So,
Or lack thereof.
Or lack thereof.
yeah, so let's start with Alison Chao. So last week, I think it was 1 week ago,
Yeah.
we were talking about this 15-year-old missing girl, and Ed gave a very good report on what happened there. And turns out she was found the day after we recorded that.
Yeah. A lot happened, actually.
So what happened? She was actually found. She was found outside what, like a
Please,
TV station?
ABC 7 in Glendale, yeah.
And then what happened there?
So, well, real quick, first, after we recorded this program last Monday, I went home because I was supposed to go to this event.
You had stalkers, right?
Yeah, so I was supposed to go to this event. Initially, I assumed that like there wouldn't be enough time and I'd have to go from here to the event directly. I had like a change of clothes in my car, but I was like, oh, there's an hour and a half. You know, I was like, I haven't eaten anything yet. I was like, I'm gonna go home, at least like make a quick sandwich and then go. You know, I was like, there's enough time for that. Literally 5 minutes before I'm supposed to leave, someone rings my doorbell.
Wow.
This really shady looking guy, and it was like roughly around like 6:30. He was holding like an Amazon box, but I was like, I haven't ordered anything from Amazon in like the last 2 weeks. I was like, nothing should be
And he
here
didn't
from
have
Amazon.
like an Amazon vest or anything.
No. And then he stood there after he rang the bell, which I was like, Amazon people don't do that as well. You know, they drop
just
it and
leave
leave.
the thing off and
Yeah,
take a
if they
picture.
even ring your doorbell, which if they do, I give them 5 stars because I'm like, oh, you just went a little above and beyond, you know, like, but. So then he just stood out there for 10 minutes. So I was like, that's shady. I was also in the bathroom, so I like couldn't even answer the door.
Okay. What were you doing in there?
I was taking a shower. And then and then he like kept coming back. So then like I was like, well, I feel uncomfortable. I was like, I know when people are about to be served, you know? So I was like, the only person who's probably going to try to serve me is Allison for some sort of like, cease and desist or something, you know, to try to get me to stop talking about it. So I didn't go outside, and it was at that time that I hadn't released the video that I had yet of the evidence. So like I think it was that day, the day before, I was like, oh, I got the evidence, so I storied it. I was like, hey guys, I have the evidence, but I was like, basically I have a busy day tomorrow, so like I'm not gonna have time, I'm gonna post it the day after. During that time, Allison's mother's camp found me within 24 hours. I have footage of that guy taking photos of my house, my Ring camera, my car. So my roommate comes home at some point, and he's like, oh, are you Ed? And he's like, no. He's like, is Ed here? And my roommate's like, no, he's at an event. And then after like the second or third time he kept ringing that doorbell after my roommate got home, he went outside and he was like, hey, man, I told you Ed's not here. And that guy goes to him, points at my car in the driveway, and he goes, but isn't that Ed's car? And then my roommate was like, yeah, I told you he went to an event. So he did the responsible thing just in case he drinks and took an Uber. You know what I mean? So that guy then rang another time. My roommate went out there and was like, hey, man, it's like past 9 o'clock. You keep ringing the doorbell. Our dogs are going crazy. He's like, it's literally harassment at this point. I told you he's not here. And the guy like fumbled over his words. And then basically the whole time he was just like waiting out at the end of the driveway in the street, like sitting at my neighbors like stairs and stuff. And so yeah, it was at that time that I made that video, and I was like, hey guys, I was gonna make this tomorrow because I was supposed to be at this event, but someone's like trying to intimidate me or serve me papers. So I was like, I'm gonna release this video now because like if you serve me a cease and desist after I release it, like you can't do anything because I already did it, you know. So like I released the video, and the next morning, within less than 12 hours, Allison, I don't even know what the right words are here. It's like turn herself in. She's not found. She like basically went to the ABC 7 station with the intent
to interview
of telling her side of the story. So Someone even saw her before she got there and followed her in her car. And that woman also did an interview, not also because Alison didn't, but she did an interview with ABC7 where she states that like she had a talk with Alison while she was walking. She said that Alison told her that she was on her way to ABC7. Like, so she was going there on her own accord to try to have an interview. She also then told ABC7, this woman who talked to her, that Alison was extremely coherent, very intelligent, and even stated that this is a 15-year-old girl who in 3 years is going to be 18. And she's just upset that no one is listening to her, especially as it pertains to adjudication.
Yeah.
So all of that stuff happened. Alison is found. From what I understand, after she arrived at ABC7, they called the police. The police took her to Glendale Police Department because it's Glendale. Glendale then transferred her immediately to Monterey Park Police Department, where she was there until, as far as I know, past 1:30 in the morning. Because that's when I got confirmation from people who were at the police station with the father waiting to see her. And they told me that she had been being evaluated by DCFS for a while. And then those people, I believe, got confirmation that Alison then went into foster care, which then I spoke to a bunch of social workers, and they told me that oftentimes runaways, 100% of the time after runaways are found, they're interviewed by whatever the initials for DCFS is in that area, because, you know, they have all different. And they told me that oftentimes runaways are then institutionalized afterwards, because the only two criteria to be institutionalized is you're either a harm to yourself or to others. And oftentimes with runaways, because of why they run away or what they did when they were running away, it is deemed as they put themselves in harm's way.
So they get automatically institutionalized.
Right, so they get institutionalized to make sure that there isn't a threat, because if that's the reason why you ran away, then your chance of running away is high. So they put them somewhere to get psychiatric treatment to help them keep them from doing that again. My friends in social work told me that the fact that she was immediately put into the foster care system most likely means that the social worker that evaluated Alison deemed that she did not exhibit the signs to be institutionalized, which again are harm to yourself or others. So we don't know that, because, you know, that whole foster care system is extremely confidential for the safety of the children, especially. So that happened. And then 3 days afterwards, her father, Alison's father, was arrested by Monterey Park Police Department. And he was initially charged with, by the police, the charges that the police recommended to the prosecutor's office were abduction, conspiracy, and falsifying a police report, which the first two could go either way in felony or misdemeanors. The third, falsifying a police report, is always a misdemeanor. And, you know, how they classified in the courts, you know, matters depending on, you know, what the sentencing is, how it's tried, what could even be bargained out or cases dropped, you know. So we don't know. The dad actually had a court case scheduled before the arrest today for the custody battle. But then because the police didn't allow him to bail out immediately, he had to wait till today for his preliminary hearing in order to see if there is a bail. So we're going to find that all out today. But essentially, throughout all of this, the mother, so the day that Alison was found, which was like a little over 12 to like 20 hours after the release of the video of the mom trying to have Alison institutionalized, both Alison's minors counsel, who's supposed to be the advocate for Alison and not side with either of the parents, she released a press release about me, claiming that I'm spreading misinformation. She doesn't name me, but it's very clear who she's talking about. She said I'm spreading misinformation and that it could be harmful to Alison. And I just remember thinking to myself, she's found. Why didn't you release this, like, I don't know, a week ago when she disappeared? You know what I mean? Yeah. And then hours later, I think like 6-7 hours later, the mom released a press release on the same press release website, which I know, you know, could be very coincidental, but there's multiple press release websites. And the fact that they did it from the same one, I was like, it doesn't not feel like they weren't.
A coordinated attack.
Yeah, coordinated attack, right? So the mom released a statement through the lawyer that stated very similar things. You know, first it was like fluff about like, oh, you know, I'm happy she's found, whatever. But it was very clear that the actual intent of her press release was what she said, where she literally quoted the Minors' Counsel stating that, you know, people are spreading misinformation. And then she goes on to claim that, like, you know, I don't care about people throwing stones at me. I just care about the fact that my, like, daughter was found, which I was like, okay.
But the daughter was already found. And
right.
mom's...
But I was like, if that's the case, I was like, I know that the dad is waiting at the police station. I was like, and you spent your day, the day your daughter was found, to
make press releases.
Claiming that obviously that you're happy that your daughter's found, but also to like,
you don't give a fuck,
to like, you know, discredit me. So I was like, that's weird. Your daughter was just found. I was like, this couldn't have waited till tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know? So, and then this like declaration of Annie Chao was also released where she tries to tell her side of the story. You know, many people say there's three sides to a story, right? Your side, my side, and then the truth. Whatever this case may be in this case, you know, because none of us were there, so we don't really know. But what I can say is that, you know, the mom released a declaration. It was technically leaked. The mom didn't technically release it, not directly from her, but it wasn't a public file. This one, like some of the court cases that have been, you know, showing evidence of, like, for instance, there were claims that the mom and the father were both, you know, allegedly abusing Allison, according to Allison's claims. So like those I found because they were public record.
Yeah.
A lot of court cases are public record.
Both of them abused.
Allegedly. Yeah.
That's what allegedly.
That's what Allison is alleging.
Like Asian parenting
style? No, like sexually abuse.
Sexual abuse.
Including the mom. The allegation is that the mom did also physically abuse the daughter as well, allegedly.
Punched her in her chest.
Yeah, like punched her in her chest for no reason, like just, and then would, you know, accuse her allegedly of, you know, just being a brat and ungrateful. So, like, of course, we don't know if any of this stuff actually happened, but because it's in court documents, I was like, you know, the public should at least know about this. And then after speaking to a lawyer to kind of get more details after the father's arrest, they also told me that, you know, from what I understand with the same publicly available records, they did state that the criminal courts did not prosecute the mom or the grandfather, which happens a lot in sexual abuse cases, unless there's like black and white evidence, which typically is DNA. Yeah. They won't press charges because it's a he said, she said, you know, and we know how, you know, people tend to favor oftentimes. Yeah. So they're not even charged or usually pursued. But there was a 15-day court hearing in dependency court, which is family court. And after that hearing, they deemed that it wasn't credible, which a lot of people are taking it as being like the mom and the grandfather were, you know, relieved of any accusations, but credible, not credible also means that the same exact thing. There isn't enough evidence to prove that they did it, which again, most likely there needs to be DNA.
But it's also just kind of like, why would Allison lie about something?
Right.
Like
well, what people are claiming is that this happened, so how that was found out was the dad took Allison in for a checkup. And Allison broke down and told the nurse practitioner all of this.
How old was she at the time?
She's 15.
Oh,
she said all this.
Yes, I believe she was 15.
Okay.
Or like right
so it's pretty
before
recent.
she turned
pretty
15.
Recent.
Yeah, it was very recent. I think it was like in October of last year.
So she was exposing about what her mom has been doing,
right.
like the abuse and sexual
oh
abuse
wait,
and
no,
all
I
that
think
stuff.
she might have been 14 actually, because it happened, I believe, in like April is when this
but
exam
fairly
happened.
Recently.
Yeah. It was about a year ago at the most. But what people are alleging is on March 10th, the mom left the family. She just picked up and left the family.
Yeah.
And what people on her side are claiming is that because that doctor's visit didn't happen until April, that the father brainwashed her into saying these things. And maybe like, you know, pressured her to be like, hey, because what ended up happening was after the mom left, she started to try to fight for 50-50 custody, but the dad was like, no, I don't want you to have any custody because, you know, assumingly he's working under the belief that Allison was abused.
The truth. Yeah.
But so none of this came out until after that. So a lot of people are like, that's fishy. And it's not true, that it could not be true. You know what I mean? Like the dad could have, you know, like those things do kind of line up. But the thing is, the dad is also alleging is like, yeah, And there's even a photo of the dad with his face completely swollen and bruised because he claimed that his wife just started punching him upwards of 12 times for no reason.
Yeah.
And
this was when they were married?
Yeah. Okay. And like from what I understand, when he told his friend was making fun of him and thereby took those photos. So that's the reason why those photos exist, supposedly. But what the dad, Jeff, is claiming is that he didn't file any charges because he didn't think that they were ever going to be divorcing. So he also didn't want his, the mother of his child to be arrested, to have a criminal record, all of those things. They just thought that they'd be able to work through it.
It's interesting. Remember that last time you were talking about like how, Asian women don't report crimes because of the Asian culture thing. I think in this case, it's the same thing.
Same
thing you're talking about.
Yeah. So the idea of just like, we'll figure it out. We don't want to involve the police.
Yeah, let's keep this
a family drama, inside of whatever. So that's what other people, that other side of the camp, that's what they're claiming, is that the daughter was brainwashed, and this is the reason why.
But what is their proof of brainwashing, though? They can't just throw it like that.
But that's the thing is that like, the brainwashing is really hard to prove. You know what I mean? Unless the child themselves is like, no, my so-and-so
You're talking like MK Ultra.
Yeah, MK, that's what I'm saying.
Brainwashing?
Yeah, but I guess like with a child, it could also be in passing, right? If you just like
force.
Like
when
say this.
No,
stuff
I mean you see
whatever.
it in divorces all the time, where like whoever the family is, they'll just like slyly put in like, oh, your dad's a piece of shit, like he's an asshole, like he's abusive, that's brainwashing, because that is how especially children can be manipulated into thinking. So like that's what I mean. It's not unsubstantiated. But so the other parts though is that
but
like
they have to take into consideration why she wanted to be with the dad in the first place, right?
So like my personal theory is that because Allison, after the age of 14 in a divorce proceeding, the child has the right to choose which family member they want to go with.
Age of
14.
So she can decide by herself.
And because Allison wanted to go with her dad, the only way to overrule Allison's opinion and her decision is to have her institutionalized and say she's unstable, she doesn't know what's best for her, whatever. So that could potentially be one of the reasons why that happened. For a multitude of other reasons, if the SA charges are true, that could also be another potential reason as to why someone would want their child institutionalized.
And it's pretty confirmed that she ran away from home, right?
At this point, it's very confirmed that she ran away from home.
And that happened the day before she was about to get committed.
Correct.
For that specific reason.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I did also find in public court documents that the insurance company of the families, a mental health professional wrote in stating that that the insurance company won't pay for the inpatient facility because they stated that based off of what they've seen not seen, that they don't have anything from any psychiatrist stating that she's either a danger to herself or others, so they can't pay for this because they don't think it's necessary. There are people online claiming that I doctored that, which I did not. But all of it is publicly available. You can search for it if you know where to look. So other than that, just 2 days ago, so this declaration of Annie Chao was released, and 2 days ago was also when Allison's paternal grandmother, so Jeff, her father, and Allison for the last year have been living in Jeff's mom's house, along with Annie before she left. Like that house belongs to Jeff's mother.
Jeff's mother.
Okay. So she, who's been living with Allison this whole time, did an interview the other day through NTD.
Falun Gong.
Yeah. And either way, they were the ones willing to tell the story, and they interviewed her, and she stated a couple of things. First off, she stated that her granddaughter told her at one point that, hey, you have to stay healthy and alive because if my mom does take custody of me, she's like, it's probably going to be 3 years till we can do 18, this again. Yeah, when I'm turn 18. And she said that you have to stay healthy during that time because you promised me that you're going to take me to Taiwan to get beef noodle soup. She's like, so you have to stay healthy because by 18, I should be able to, make my own decisions and we can finally have a relationship again and go. So her grandmother was like, does that seem like the strategy of someone who's incoherent and needs to be institutionalized.
Is this the grandma that sent the text message to
yes.
Yeah.
So she's the same grandmother who leaked the knowledge that the mother was trying to have Alison institutionalized.
Committed. Yeah.
And then she also stated Alison, at 15 years old, as a sophomore in high school, was taking college-level courses that she was getting college credit for.
She's a very smart girl.
She's very smart.
Straight-A student, right?
Straight-A student. But that's not the only thing, because in Annie Chao's declaration, in her declaration, she tries to tell her side of things and explain a lot of things away. She claims that, Jeff has PTSD because he served in the military and went in the Middle East, and that, that he's controlling and that he's abusive, which those things could be true. We don't know because we weren't there.
But they don't negate the fact that.
But they don't negate the fact that, like, the mom also has accusations against her as well. Like, it doesn't cancel the other out. But
because the daughter herself is claiming all that.
Right. Yeah. But the one thing I can say is that there are no accusations against the father from Alison.
Yeah.
And the one question that I do have is, if Jeff is as abusive as Annie claims, and I'm posing this to, like, parents and mothers, would you leave your child behind with this person who's apparently so abusive and so controlling? Would you leave your child behind to run away by yourself? Because it seems very likely that she could have chosen a time Jeff works from home.
Yeah.
So he's home a lot, obviously, but she could have chosen a time when he wasn't home and taken her daughter with her, right?
Yeah.
So Annie's claiming that Alison refused to go with her, which also is a bit telling to me.
Yeah.
And, so I don't know, but those are the facts that I do know. In this declaration, Annie also claims that Jeff, because he's so controlling, has made Alison be homeschooled since the pandemic started. Like, Alison never returned to in-person school. And which is all understandable and could be real. The one part that I had a little bit of
issue with,
red flag raised upon, was that Annie claims that because she's homeschooled, she's not eligible for AP classes, which the whole point of AP classes is to get college credit. Well, the grandmother said that Alison has taken college level courses, which she is getting college credit for.
On the video, when she's running away from home or whatever, she's wearing a mask.
Yeah.
So it could just be she's really scared of COVID still.
She is.
Yeah. So that could be the reason why she wants to continue being homeschooled. She's literally wearing a mask outside.
Yeah.
Where there's no one around.
And if you read the police report of that day, the police claim that both the father and Alison were both wearing masks behind that door.
Exactly. So it's just kind of like they're obviously concerned about COVID still.
Yeah. I mean, they also live with an elderly woman, who could be vulnerable.
Exactly.
So, there are many reasons why that could be happening.
Yeah.
So we don't know, but that's what I'm saying is, like, those are the things, the red flags that pop up amongst a slew of other red flags. And of course, are there red flags against the father? Sure. As a character, as a person, maybe, but not in relation to who he is as a father. Because at this point, what I've been trying to tell people is that I'm not trying to take either the parent side. The only side that I really care about is Alison. So in this case, to me, there's three sides. There's the mom, the father, and Alison.
And Alison's side.
And maybe it's the history that I grew up with, but I just choose to believe whatever Alison said. And at this point in time, Alison has not made any accusations of abuse against her father. So I'm not saying that he could have not been abusive to the wife, to Annie at the time. But what I do know from a psychological standpoint is abusive people, what her claims are with PTSD, they're not a person specific. You don't have PTSD oftentimes, unless that person keeps doing stuff to trigger your PTSD. Oftentimes, it's not just specific to one person. You have triggers and then you lash out at whatever happens. You know what I mean? Yeah. So theoretically, like, the thing that makes most sense is that, like, people who are abusive, because it's not person specific, if the one person who's being abused is removed, usually there is another person who takes the brunt of that. And in this case, based off of the fact that Alison hasn't said anything, it does not seem like that's what's happening. So I'm not saying that the father couldn't have been controlling or abusive to the wife emotionally, whatever.
But you're going by what Alison is saying. Correct. Alison was being abused by her mom, sexually abused too.
Allegedly,
by her grandpa.
Allegedly, yes. And
so,
and the other
I'll go ahead and say it. The mom sounds like a psychopath.
I mean, it does sound very fishy, and it doesn't hold when they claim that she must have been brainwashed by her dad. That doesn't make sense too. How could you brainwash that way? But it seems like Gascon's office is pretty much on her side right now.
Yeah, and so is the media. In fact, I've had a couple people reach out to me saying that they've spoken to reporters and then showed them my side of the story, and the reporters were like, "Oh, well, we don't know because that wasn't made public." And I was like, "If you do your job correctly, it's public record. You just have to look for it."
Yeah. But that was the other thing too. The thing that was, I guess, quote unquote, leaked was not available to the public.
Which part? The video
on Annie Chao's side.
Oh, the declaration. Yeah, that part was a private file.
Yeah.
So it could have been other people, but in my personal opinion,
like who even had
who
access
else would
to
have had that access other than Annie or people from her camp to release that, right? So that's my theory, my personal theory.
Is there some community outrage after LA County District Attorney George Gascon charged the dad?
So that didn't happen quite yet. That happened today. It did happen probably. It just hasn't been publicized. Yeah. No, but even right now, we don't know yet.
Okay. Yeah.
So what I did find out was that Gascon's office is because this is so high profile. There's no way this didn't go by Gascon's desk.
I think this hit like national news almost, right?
So
I don't think yet.
I saw it on some of the
So the court of public opinion so far is still siding with the father.
Yeah,
there's a lot of people.
As they should, in my opinion.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who are stating things like, I would do the same thing for my child if they were claiming that this happened through the other side of the family. So there's a lot of that happening. There is believe a potentially growing small number of, it seems to be mostly mothers who are sympathizing and empathizing with the mother's declaration because
there are moms.
Because from a woman's perspective you're like this could be true, but that's the thing is that there are still red flags with Annie's declaration that kind of make you question if you would lie about this AP thing, if you would lie about this thing, if you lied about the fact that you try to have your daughter institutionalized to sway the public, then what parts are true? You know what I mean? And then that's the type of thoughts that I have is if you're lying about something so innocuous, then I don't know what you're capable of lying about.
Everything.
I mean, regardless of being the mom side, females being on the mom's side or males being on the dad's side, I go with what she says.
Yeah,
what Allison
I'm just going to believe whatever
I think what Allison says is true.
She's 15.
Yeah, so she's cautious.
She's young.
Adult.
Yeah,
tell her side of the story.
But she's
it's not like
old
she's 10
enough.
or 5. Then,
and even them at that age, they understand more than
they
went
understand
on.
what's going on.
There'd
they really
be more
do.
of a case to be like, okay, maybe there's manipulation. But when you're a high school, sophomore, you know what's what.
It's really,
especially
again,
these days.
You still can't because we have cases
media.
like Gypsy Rose and stuff, who could be manipulated. But you're right.
Sure.
At that age, you're more likely to rebel because you're telling yourself, I'm grown, I have my own thoughts. You know what I mean? So
because I think when we were 15, right? We were a lot dumber. We were a lot stupider, but we didn't know but kids these days, they have the internet. They know everything that's going on. They have a lot of information. It's not
and also if somebody asks them who abused you, they wouldn't make stuff up,
Right.
They would just tell
and
the
how
truth.
did for example, how did she know how to go that bike path without a phone, right? She had to have planned all of that out.
Yeah.
This took careful planning, and to come out 12 hours after your video, that was it's so obvious.
Not only
what
did
is
she
going
come
on.
out, she immediately told all the police and everyone who was with her, even that woman who was driving with her, she said, I need my story heard. No one is listening to me. And she's like, that is basically saying that's the reason why she came out, which to me makes sense after the world. You find out that the world knows this video's been leaked that you've been trying to tell everyone about.
What I wish she did is she made a dummy YouTube channel where the video was on a time release
scheduled
delay.
to release,
and then
I
just
think
comes out
just in case what happened and she wasn't able to be interviewed. Yeah,
no, it sounds like she's screaming out for help. And she doesn't want to live with her mom. I mean, just by the story.
I mean, that's what it sounds
like. But
it
sounds like the system is kind of forcing her to go back to her mom.
Granted,
right now.
yes. Could the father have been saying stuff to get her to hate the mother? Sure. But what I saw in that video of her trying to be institutionalized was I guess is a bit more accurate thing to say, was a visceral reaction. And especially for a girl who's as reserved as Annie. Of course, could it have been fate? Of
Allison.
course. Allison. Yeah, sorry. Of Allison. Could it have been fate? Sure. but I find that hard to believe. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
because she also had the wherewithal to record that.
Right.
So what's going on with Gascon? What's going to happen with the father and all?
So basically, there are people who think that this is a horse and pony show by Monterey Park Police. Maybe like, you know, people are conspiracizing that maybe the mom had some sway or whatever. My personal opinion is that because Monterey Park Police Department has already looked really dumb multiple times just in this case. I mean, Allison was missing just under their nose for a week. They look like fools. In that video of her trying to be institutionalized, they were outsmarted by a 15-year-old repeatedly. That makes them look stupid. For them to make an arrest when the DA is going to be like, yeah, no, we're not touching this, that would literally cost people jobs in Monterey Park Police Department. I don't think they would do that. It's not going to look good for the chief. It's not going to look good for the people who are, you know, handling the case. So what I believe, what I was told and what I believe happened was that Monterey Park Police Department has evidence to prove that the dad helped Allison. And went to the DA first and said, we have this. If we arrest him, will you prosecute this? And I'm assuming the DA was like, yes.
Helped Allison, meaning how she ran away.
So what I was told
by
what I was told by the lawyer that I spoke to try to get clearance to get clarity on this, because I'm not a lawyer, they said that something as simple as her dad saying, I don't know what would happen if your mom, like, I'm scared for what's going to happen to you if your mom, you know, gets you committed or gets even custody of you. Like, I don't know what I would do. That could be enough for these charges. But because of how public this is, I personally think they might have more than that, because that's kind of hearsay, which if that happened, that is kind of brainwashing a little bit too.
These should be quotes that's coming out of Allison's mouth.
Right. So we don't know what that is, but like, yeah. So we don't know, but it could have been quotes that came out of her dad to Allison, if that's what you meant.
No, I'm talking about if Allison talked to the law enforcement. That,
I mean,
then that could be one of the evidence.
Yeah. I mean, we don't know. We don't know, but it could be. It could be. She could have said something because, as far as I know, she was at Monterey Park Police Department until way after 1:30. That's just when I was told. So like, if we're talking about it, we're talking about a girl who was for 13 hours kept in the custody of police. Many of those hours being evaluated by DCFS. Like, that's enough to break anyone down, let alone a 15-year-old girl who's just been, away from her home and her family for almost a week.
Police are still, fucking around. Okay.
Yeah. But the other thing is that mainstream media seems to be
on the mom side,
kind of on the mom side from a neutral perspective, because like they're definitely not talking about any of the other claims and charges.
All the stuff that you talked about,
right?
It's not.
Which again, we're not saying that anything was convicted or anything happened, but if there were claims from Allison, that should be part of the story that's integral.
I mean, the media tends to skew anti-Asian male, regardless. So like, they have no incentive to be on the dad's side in this case.
Yeah, because
unless it's slam dunk.
Also, I did hear through a contact that I'm not the only one being intimidated by Annie.
Oh, there's a lot.
Annie. I've heard that some actual local news reporters also were being told of stuff. So that could also be swaying them to not talk about it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Am I the idiot who's apparently not scared for something I should be scared about? Possibly.
Okay.
I don't know. You have a...
No,
I mean, most people who
I
are
more from like a lawyer's perspective. With
most people who are not aware of this news, they would have the impression that the dad is on the wrong.
Because now he's been arrested.
Because that's the impression. And which is.
But you need the full story. You need to understand that there's allegations of abuse,
especially for this case.
Yep, there's institutionalizing threats. So and according to Allison and Jeff technically through that court report. Allegedly, Annie would say even things like, if you don't do whatever X, Y, and Z, like, I'm going to go get a new family. You know what I mean? So, like, emotional, mental abuse as well, if it's true, again.
Yeah. Right. So that's the latest, huh?
So that's the latest so far.
Cool.
Yeah. It's been a little bit wild. It has taken up, like, 95% of my time, if I'm going to be honest. Yeah. I've had, like, many days, like looking up information or talking to people well in through the night, and then being like, well, the sun's up, I'm gonna go to sleep now, okay, bye.
And you're gonna stay on top of this until it's
I'm
all
gonna-
resolved.
I mean, I said that from the beginning. Once we find Allison, that's not where the advocacy ends. That's actually where it begins. Because once she's found, and a lot of people are like, oh, you're publicizing information that's gonna, be harmful to Allison's like whatever later. And I'm like, no, from what
We're
I'm
trying to save her.
understanding, Allison needs this stuff to be public because
The whole reason she
Right.
she came back to the TV station was to get the
Exactly.
story out.
Yeah.
correct.
Okay.
But it didn't come out. The ABC didn't have a report about her interview
No.
or anything, right? That's kind of funny too. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Ed, for that
Yeah.
update, and maybe there will be more we can hear next week. Yeah.
I kind
Positive.
of hope not. Yeah.
Positive.
Positive, for sure.
All right. And sorry, Michael, we don't have time for
Yeah.
that
Okay.
anymore.
Let's do it.
So today was an Alison Chao episode, the Alison Chao update. It's part of a drama series, I guess, kind of now.
Everyone keeps saying it. They're like, this is like a Netflix special. It's like a Netflix special. I'm like, this is actually like the tip of the iceberg, I believe. There's a lot more stuff, hearsay and stuff that I can't really talk about. That's like
We're
below
only
the
in season
surface.
1.
Yeah. A lot of people are getting their information from your TikTok, I think. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, and we'll
Thanks.
wait for the update next week. And everyone else, Alison Chao has been found, but we'll see what happens to the father, the mother, and the grandfather,
Your father
Arthur
about-
Tang. Like, what's going on there? So, yeah, stay tuned. And don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel,
And
leave a comment, smash the notification bell, follow us on social media, and thank you for watching.
all right. Okay.
Instagram at Ktown Social Club. Instagram, okay?
He's going to get it one day, guys. I swear.
Instagram.
Send us a
yeah.
message or something. Thanks to Edward Choi, Michael Wan, Douglas Kim MacArthur, and I've been Michael Kim, your host.
Not even my real.
All right,
Oh,
okay.
Kim Dok So. All right.
God,
we'll
no,
s-
that's not it. Never mind.
okay.
Too late. Okay, bye.
Okay. All right. We'll see you guys next
Bye-bye.
time. Peace.
Middle name's Lee.
Douglas Lee Kim. Oh yeah, because that's your mom's maid.
What,
Yeah.
What's your Korean name?
Kim Dok-so.
Kim
Tok-so.
Kim Dok-so.
Tok-so.
Kim
디귿,
Dok-so.
기역, 시읒, 오.
So.
덕소.
That's a very unique name, Kim Dok-so. Right?
Yeah, I heard it was country or I don't
Kim
know.
Dok-so. I've never heard Kim Dok-so in my entire life.
Well, it came from my great grandfather.
Dok-so.
No, grandfather.